Hello everyone, this is DM Raven here, and I wanted to make a quick tutorial on the character sheets and how to use them. I know people often have questions about what button does uh, what you need to do to navigate your sheet, and how to do like outputs and such. So I thought I'd make a video addressing all that. So I'm going to start at the front here from my unfortunately recently deceased character Chevreau. From here, you can pretty much only look at the picture and hit edit. Edit will let you edit the name, but I guess you can also type in bio and info, so this is pretty self-explanatory. But there's not much you can do from here. To get to the actual sheet, you want to go to character sheet, which I'll try to increase in size a bit just to make sure everyone can see. All right, so this is the basic character sheet. You come in. This one's already filled out. I'll assume you all are using Charactermancer to make your character sheet, so we'll just look at a filled out one. This here, as you can see, I have 0 hit points. Wah wah. This here is kind of your base information. This denotes that he is an artificer. Artillerist is the subclass, level 7. I believe you can edit all that in here. I wouldn't suggest editing any of the level stuff, because if you're using Charactermancer, this can confuse the Charactermancer and get you bugs. So I would leave this alone. Don't touch this. I mean, you could probably change this without issue, because I think this is just text, and I don't think any of these affect the actual game. But yeah, you can edit your class, your subclass, your race. Again, I'd be careful because this won't actually change any of your stats. This is just for text, what's going to be displayed, so you can add stuff. You don't have to worry about experience points because I don't use them. So this is your name. You can click on it to change it. Another way to, well, this changes your name in here, which is different from up here. But yeah, so this changes your name in the sheet. If you go here, inspiration, I do inspiration points, so you don't have to worry about that. Now, if we go here, we can take a look at the ability scores. Now, people often ask me, like, how do you roll an ability score? Because they always will click saving throw, and this is incorrect. These are for saving throws, but if you want to just roll an ability check, you mouse over the actual word. So, for example, here you click strength, and you'll see an output here where it will just do a strength check, and that works for any of these. So you just click on the actual name of it. You see it turns from a pointer into a finger. You just click that, and that'll roll the check over here in the text. All right, so proficiency bonus. This is static. You can't change it. It's just based on your level, so just leave it alone. This is for info. These are your saving throws. If you want to roll saves, you mouse over any of these and click it. The checked ones are the ones you are proficient with. This should only really matter for what class you've chosen. That kind of determines this, and it will automatically be picked when you use Charactermancer, so you shouldn't change these. Editing these will make your sheet illegal, so I just leave the ones you have. I believe every class gets 2, so if you have like 1 check or no check, you know there's something wrong, and you might want to look into it. These are your skills, same idea. Mouse over, click, and it will make the roll. For example, history, boom, history roll. And if you mouse over the roll, it'll tell you exactly what was rolled. So in this case, it rolled 1d20 plus 3 for proficiency, plus 4 for intelligence, because I have plus 3 for my proficiency bonus, and my int bonus, as you can see here, is a 4. So that was plus 7, making 16 into a 23. Same thing here, natural 20 became a 27. So yeah, that's how you roll these. Again, the checked ones are the ones you're proficient with. The unchecked ones you are not. Don't check these. This should have all been done manually by the Charactermancer, as well as the background you chose. If you feel something is an error, you could take a look and see if something should or shouldn't be checked. You could try to remake the character, but don't just give yourself skill proficiency. This would be cheating, so avoid doing that. Don't check anything. Up here, armor class, pretty self-explanatory. It's your AC. a creature needs to roll this or higher to hit you. I don't think, well, actually it looks like you can change it. I'm just curious if that'll stick. It does stick, so be careful about changing this. Again, it's cheating if you change that without having a good reason. Your AC is set by the character sheet and should involve or should include all your bonuses. Like when you equip a shield, it should take that into account. It should take into account your armor. So just leave that alone unless it's not taking something into account. Then talk to me and we can change it to what it should be. Initiative is pretty much the same. It's static based on usually just your dex. There are things that factor in, but yeah, this one you can't even edit. So you can look here. So the dex is 1, and the 12, that's where the point 12 comes in, is for tiebreaker. In case you both roll the same number, it'll do point 12, and then whoever has the higher point will go first. Your speed, this one you can change. Again, it should be set up by the charactermancer, so just leave it alone. There's no reason you ever need to change this, again, unless something is incorrect and we can talk about it. So whenever you change any of this stuff, always talk to me first. For rolling initiative, you just make sure your token is selected, which unfortunately I don't think I can see the board right now. I'm just going to, you know what I'm going to do? Hopefully my DM doesn't kill me for doing this. I'm just going to drag my token out to this random corner of the board. So when you want to roll initiative, your token's out, you select your token, which I'll zoom in on a bunch. There's no reason I need to be this far out. So as you can see, my token is selected. Then I would click on initiative, and that will roll my initiative, which I rolled really well. And if the initiative tracker was up, actually, can I display that? I'm in player mode right now. I don't think I can. But if the initiative tracker were up, I would be added to it at a 21.12. So yeah, click this to roll initiative. Hit points is pretty self-explanatory. This is your max. This is your current. One thing I like to do is put my true max in parentheses, because then if this number changes, either because I get drained or because I get aided and I get extra hit points, I don't have to remember what my natural HP state is. So generally I'll put it there, or I'll record it. Sometimes this actually, so what I'll say is this sometimes confuses the game. So I'll record it somewhere, like in bio. I'll put actual max HP. What did I say it was? 42? 45. So actual max HP 45. You want to have this somewhere just because your HP total will possibly get changed. So yeah, this is where you have your maximum. You don't usually change it unless a spell or a drain affects you. This is where you have your current, which is where you can do all of your addition and subtraction. And one of the cool things, and I'm not sure if it works for this, but let me check. So if you highlight that and you put plus 10, it doesn't actually work here. I don't usually do my hit point calculations on the sheet itself. So what you can do instead, and this is what I recommend, is if you're in combat, let's say you just got healed for 10, instead of, I mean, it's easy when you're at 0, but you just hit plus 10, and that will automatically give you back 10 hit points. So you see how it's reflected in here. So let's say I'm at like 67, and we'll say, well, let's say 45, because that's the total. So I'm at full health. I get attacked. I get hit for 27 damage. So you could do the math manually, but the easier thing to do is to, and I'm going to zoom in on this more, just so everyone can see. This is less sheet and more token stuff, but what you can do if you took 27 damage is type minus 27 and hit enter, and it will automatically adjust your HP. So you don't have to do any math. It'll adjust it on here, and you can save your mental skills for other things. Temporary hit points, same idea. This records how many temp HP you have. It should reflect in the red, but this token is set up wrong. Usually it will reflect in this, And again, if you have 11, and let's say you take 5, you would just again hit -5, and it'll adjust that. And if you took 20, let's say you'll do. Unfortunately, I don't think you can do -20 from here, but you take the 6 away, and you would have to do some math, like say -14 here. Boom. So yeah, that's pretty much what HP is about. Hit dice, it's recorded here. You click. Actually, let me check something. Quick side note, I've said this in another video, but you want to make sure these are all turned on. I don't, because this is an older sheet, so a lot of this stuff isn't turned on. But yeah, make sure ammo tracking, exhaustion, hit dice, and long short rest are turned on. Now I think if I click this, yes, so it does track it. So it shows that I spent 1. I don't think it actually increases my HP. That would be really cool, but unfortunately it doesn't. But I can just go, +8. I healed for 8, +8. I'm at 12 now. Great. I'll spend another hit dice. Oh, not a good roll, so I gained 2. +2. I spent 2 hit dice, and it records this. And so remember that you get 1 hit dice per level. Character level 7, you have 7. I'm going to spend a couple more just to show some stuff. 3, 8, 3, 5. So 6, 11, 19 hit points. So plus 19. I'm down to 1. And I will say that you shouldn't adjust this manually. When you use them, it should automatically bring them down. I think you can click. What does this do? It unlocks it. You can delete it. I don't know why you'd want to, so I wouldn't do that. So I'm just gonna say you shouldn't manually adjust them, but let's say I have 2. You can adjust them with this. You can adjust your max again. Don't adjust these manually because your max shouldn't be higher. There's no reason why you should have more than your class levels. What does this do? Oh, okay, that's cool. So if you don't want to manually keep pressing this over and over, you can just, like, during a short rest, you say, I want to spend 3 hit dice. You click this, and then you roll however many. You can only do 2 right now, but however many you had. And I'm going to guess that if you put 2 in and hit roll, it'll put you down to 0, but it will roll 2 hit dice here. Which it did, and it added the Constitution modifier twice, because mine's +1. So I'm going to put 2 back in there. Alright, so death saves, again, this is pretty apparent. You can click this to roll a death save. It's supposed to record the result. It doesn't look like it's working for this, but like here I rolled 19, so then you go up, success. So I have 1 success in my death saves. Exhaustion, this comes into play if you go down, that is hit 0 hit points, you gain 1 level of exhaustion. And you can type that here and it'll tell you what effects that gives you. Unfortunately, I don't think this is automatic. Like I bet if I roll Arcana, it's not going to give me disadvantage. No. So you just have to remember that if you have the exhaustion level, the effects will apply. This is hard to remember. I won't get too mad if you forget sometimes, but do your best to remember if you have exhaustion. So yeah, and then you put it to 0, no effect. And you notice as you put more, you'll see new effects popping in up until I think it's 6 is death. Yeah, 6 is death, so you're just dead. Which unfortunately Chevreau is right now. So this section here is for your macros. It makes a bunch of these automatically when you pull a spell into your spell book or pull an item on. Like, for example, when I took Firebolt, it automatically made a Firebolt macro. Any of these can be edited. You shouldn't edit any of these, however, unless there is a really good reason to, because it should naturally set all these up. Like there's special settings for a lot of these due to the fact that their damage adjusts by level and such. And yeah, see, it'll automatically roll. And I get 2d10 because that's how Firebolt's supposed to work at this level. So you have all these. You can add new ones with the button here. So let's say test, strength, sure, proficient, sure. Then you'd put like damage here for the attack if you hit. You can say ranged, yada yada. There's a bunch of different stuff. Honestly, if you're newer to the game, I would be careful about making your own macros. You could ask people, maybe practice, but most of the stuff it'll do for you. That's kind of the nice thing about the sheet. But yeah, you can make your own macros. If you want to delete them, you click this, click delete. Make sure you lock it again so you don't automatically delete. Global modifiers, kind of like what it looks like. It's a way to quickly add something to a roll. So for example, bless. If you have this clicked, then you firebolt. You get the firebolt attack, then you get the d4 for bless. Pretty self-explanatory. So you could do things like make a sneak attack, make just different spells that would give you temporary bonuses, then you can click them on or off. Inventory, again, pretty self-explanatory. The nice thing about the inventory is that you can go to your compendium up here. Let's say you want to get, let's say, I have a bag of holding, but let's say I want a backpack. So you can click the backpack, drag it onto the sheet, and boom, you get a backpack. And it even adds the weight and everything for you, which is calculated down here. Now for each item, there's this little button here. You can click it to edit the item. Again, I wouldn't do this unless you are specifically doing something like you can edit the description if you want to put some custom stuff in. You can click here, I believe. Can you edit the weight? I'm not sure if you can edit the weight, actually. I think this has to be closed. So if you click here, yeah, you can edit the weight. Again, don't do that unless there's a good reason to. You can add your own items with this. I would suggest for 99% of items, just drag them in from the compendium because it'll give you the weight, it'll give you the description, anything special about it will be included, like for ammo, the ammo property. So yeah, just drag it on from over here. It's just almost always better. So up here, these should all be generated from the character builder stuff, the character mancer. I don't think you can click on any of this. You can edit it if you want. I think this stuff is all your own personal preference anyway, so if you want to change these, just make sure you do it at character creation time. Yeah, it's all for RP. These here, long rest, short rest, do exactly what they say they do. They simulate a long or short rest for your character. Now, there is some setup you need to use these. So, for example, inspiration points don't recharge, but like Flash of Genius, I think recharges on a long rest. So you have to make sure that's set here. If you click on the ability, there's a cog here. You click on the cog. You click on long rest, click on the cog again. Ring of Spell Storing again is a long rest thing. So we'll say set that to long rest. And I'll just pretend I use the three of them. So I'll say 0. Although actually, never mind. I don't think the Ring of Spell Storing actually resets. You have to do that yourself. So let's disable that. The cannon resets on a short rest, I think. To go look it up. I'm gonna just say it does to make this tutorial work. So we'll say short rest. Now, if you take a short rest, and one thing, if you don't have it in here, which you probably won't, add another category called short rests, because those should be tracked by you, and you have a number of short rests equal to your proficiency modifier per day. So short rests, total 3, current 3. So if you want to take a short rest, you would click this and notice my cannon recharged, and now you would tick this down by 1. Unfortunately, you can't set the short rest button to tick this down. You got to do it manually. And it would also ask you to roll hit dice. We're going to say none for now. So let's say we're at the end of the day. We have no short rest left, and we're going to do a long rest. So the thing that's cool about long rests and the button, and just for the purpose of the tutorial, I'm going to set all these to 0. Say I used all my spells. If you click long rest, see it reset the. Oh wait, I didn't set short rest to reset on long rest. So here, I'll do that again. So if you click long rest, well, first of all, it'll reset these that were set up. And if you go to your spells, because I already clicked it, you'll see your spells are all back. So that's a nifty little feature. Whoop, long rest. See, these are set up right, so they'll reset. So yeah, that's a quick way of doing a long rest or a short rest with these buttons. This area this area is basically your abilities. So if you want to see what any of your abilities do, you click it to display or hide. And if your DM says, all right, you're using what artillerist spells, give me a link, you click on this. And that will put the description, as you can see, in the chat over here. So I would suggest whenever you use an ability, just by default, say I'm using this, like say I'm using, I don't know, Spell Sniper, like your DM's like, oh, what does Spell Sniper do? And then if you click this, it'll tell your DM exactly what Spell Sniper does. Or if you cast, I'm going to use my Eldritch Cannon. Now, something like this, I would recommend breaking up into smaller buttons for the different parts, but that's up to you. You don't have to. You just have to know, tell your DM where in the description he's reading. So, yeah, whenever you want to display something, you click the word bubble. If you just want to read it, you just click it and you can read it. At the bottom here, you can add new ones, which you don't usually want to do unless there's something that, like if your DM gives you a miscellaneous power, or there's a, let's say you're trying to manually enter information, which I don't recommend, but sometimes people want to do it because something's screwed up or whatever. You click the plus, and then it'll give you this, and you could just say test for the name, source, whatever the source is. The type, I think this is like if there's a subclass to the class, or if there's something that's not covered by source, basically. And once you enter that, you close this, and you'll see this is now available. You can edit it with this. Make sure you have text there. And then, yeah, open it up, test. Good. And if you want to delete it, again, unlock, delete, lock. So that's your first page. I think I went over everything of importance. And this is your gold and your treasure. So this is where you record your coin counts. Chevreau was a rich man when he died. Look at that. Next up, bio. This is more notes. You have your background stuff. You have space for like additional features and traits, treasure, anything that needs a description. And you don't have to use these for what it says here. You can basically put anything anywhere. Like I just put everything under here for now because it's the top of the page. This is my Ring of Spell storing. But yeah, I would use these however you want. I don't think you can change the names, unfortunately. So yeah, this actually should probably be in features and traits, but whatever, it's fine. Top here. Oh, I never filled a lot of this out. So this is physical features, age, height, weight, size, eyes. I had all this information, but I had somewhere else for this character. But this is where you put it. So yeah, the second page is mostly bio and background stuff. All right, third page of spells. This is fairly self-explanatory. So, like these are all the different spell levels. These are the spells that you have. To use them, you would just like click on it to cast it. See down here it shows the result. I think this is mostly on your first page anyway, but this is where you can actually click to use some of these things. Again, the word bubble displays it. So if you want the text, it goes here. You click the word bubble. The eye is kind of like with your powers or abilities, it would be like clicking on, but here the eye, yeah, extends it so you can read it. Click it again to retract. These are VSM, verbal soapmatic material, quick reference. Yeah, and these are free because these are cantrips, but when you get to level 1, you can click the circle on or off to denote if you are preparing that spell, because people like clerics and wizards can have a ton of spells but don't necessarily have them all prepared. So you would use that to denote what's prepared. And when you click this, like say identify, that's funny, why didn't it? It's not tracking the spell slots. It should have used a spell slot. This sheet might be bugged. Let me go check that real quick. Yeah, ammo tracking is on. Oh, I think it's because auto roll. So this shouldn't be auto roll. So yeah, always roll advantage, never whisper rolls. I think that'll fix it. I don't know, this ammo tracking is very finicky. No, it didn't fix it. So this sheet might just be bugged. What should happen is when you click on them, it should automatically minus the spell slots. But if it doesn't, you would just click it down when you use it. So yeah, you go through these. Any of them, you can see their description. You can link the description. You can add new spells. I don't recommend adding spells manually because it's a huge friggin' pain in the ass and you'll probably mess up the macro. So what you want to do is just look for a spell. So we'll say like Everard's Black. You'll see Everard's Black Tentacles here. You can click it for the description, but what you can also do is click and drag it, and you'll see it says accepting drops from compendium. It has to say that, and then you let go. And you see Everard's Black Tentacles appeared here. Now it's in my book. So now I can click it to cast it as I could any other spell. Of course, I couldn't actually cast this because my Artificer doesn't have level 4 spells yet, but assuming I could, it would display the output for it. It would put the description if I wanted to, all that good stuff. Yeah, that's that. You can manually, not annually, manually add spells, again with this button. Again, I don't recommend doing this, but if you wanted to. So say like, for example, test. You could edit. And there's ways to do this right where you need to know the different macro commands to put it in so you can actually have it mimic a spell, but that's much more complicated. And if you don't like the spell, you can get rid of it by, again, unlocking, deleting, then locking again. Alright, so that's spells. Up at the top here, it shows you your spellcasting ability modifier, which is based on your class. Your spell save DC, which is based on your level, and your spellcasting modifier, which I think for me is 4, and then plus another 3, so 7, and 8 plus 7 is 15. And your spell attack bonus is, again, your intelligence plus your proficiency, which would be 7, which would be 4 plus 3 for this character. So that all checks out. Now the final tab, this one is a little bit more advanced. I wouldn't recommend messing with this unless you know what you're doing. This is what leads to bugs and your sheet operating incorrectly. I'll go through it quickly, but again, just leave it alone. So you can set your hit dice. That should be set manually, so you don't need to worry about that, but it is an option. Carrying capacity modifier is 0 unless you're a special class, like I think some of the giant classes are ×2, so you can edit that. 1, 2, and that'll increase your weight. I wouldn't play with this because I think, as I said, that's all set manually anyway. or sorry, that's all set automatically when you choose your stuff. Don't do anything with this. This is if you have something giving you an extra attack modifier, which I guess you wouldn't need the global one. You could set it up in each macro individually. Like if you had a +1 weapon, you can just set the weapon to. Usually it's already set when you drag it from the compendium, but if you needed to, you could modify something like that. Caster level, don't touch this. This is automatic. All this stuff should be automatic. So this is for certain feats, I believe, which I think will be checked automatically if you have them. So again, leave it alone. Unless you think you should have it, then talk to me. This stuff is for manually multi-classing. Don't touch it unless you know what you're doing. Just leave this all as is. Because the character mancer will do all this for you. Custom class is exactly what it seems like if you have a custom class you made with your DM. So just leave all this alone. Don't touch. This is modifying spell saves. Again, don't touch. Leave it alone. What is this? I think this is adjusting your attributes, which, again, you don't want to do it because the character builder did it for you. The character mancer, you can set your initiative to be normal, advantage, or disadvantage here. So if something's giving you advantage, you can set that. Definitely make sure this is checked, because for whatever reason this isn't checked by default, and this should always be checked. Add initiative or add Dex tiebreaker to initiative, because this is how you determine who goes first if two people roll the same thing, which happens a lot. Armor class tracking, yeah, just leave it automatic. That's fine. HP modifiers, I believe you can add things to edit your HP, which you shouldn't have to do in 99% of the cases, so just leave it alone. Get that out of here. Why isn't it deleting? See, now I broke it. Get out of here. There we go. Lock it again. Save modifiers, don't touch them. If you should have a better save for something, I believe it'll do it automatically. If it doesn't, then this is where you go to modify your saves. But again, talk to me first. Same thing with skill modifiers, talk to me first. You can set Jack of all trades, which will give you basically Jack of all trades, which gives you half proficiency to any saving throw or any skill roll. But it's not something that you would have unless you were a bard. And if you're a bard, I think it's checked automatically. I think you can set expertise as well. If you're using Character Mancer, it should automatically expertise the ones you chose. If it didn't, or if something is wrong or you need to manually do it, again, talk to me, and this is how you do it. But always talk to me. Whenever you're editing your sheet, don't just do it. Make sure I know, because then I'll be perturbed when I don't know why your guy's stuff isn't correct. NPC, this is if you're an NPC, which is not. I'll explain that in a moment. Roll queries, always roll advantage. This is the setting I like to have, so use this. Never whisper rolls, use this. Auto damage on rolls, don't auto damage on rolls, use this. Don't worry about any of this stuff. This is critical range. If you have something that makes your attacks crit more often, which again I think sets it up automatically, but like say you crit on a 19 or 20 because you are a fighter with the special subclass, you'd set that here. Proficiency bonus, just default, don't touch that. I guess you could show these. I don't think that does much. So if you show them, like you go back to core, it should show, so it'll just show these extra, what are they called? Global attack modifier. I mean, you don't, unless there's something that's temporarily changing those stats, I wouldn't. You only really need skill and attack modifier. The default's fine. Don't worry about any of this stuff. Yeah, don't worry about this. This is all cheating, so don't touch this. Ammo tracking on, exhaustion on, track hit dice per class on. These three are off. I don't use hero points, piety, or spell points. And short, long rest buttons on. And this button is for leveling up. It's not the first one, it's the second one. Launch level plus character answer. So whenever you level up, you click this, and it'll take you through the level up process. Make sure I'm sharing my compendium before you do that. Do not use this button. I think that puts you back to level 1, and you don't want that unless you're redoing. And if you're redoing, I would delete this character sheet and have me make you a new one, because whenever you have older sheets, they could be bugged, or they could be using... Like this one, I think, is a really old sheet. That's why the ammo tracking isn't working, so I'd probably have to delete this and remake it. So that's about it, I think. If I missed anything, I apologize, but I believe that's the sheet in a nutshell. That's all you can click. This stuff, so this tab is very advanced macro stuff. It lists all the different macros the sheet's using. I would not touch it at all unless you know even I don't know how a lot of this stuff works. I kind of do, but I also wouldn't touch it. I'd rather manipulate it in the sheet. So yeah, thanks for watching. Hope this is helpful. And if you have any questions, make sure you come to me and talk to me. If your sheet isn't working, don't just edit it. Make sure you talk to me so we make sure we get it right. Because for me, part of the fun of D&D is the gameplay. And if something isn't playing correctly, it's kind of cheating. So I'd rather we not have that. All right, everyone, take care, and I'll see you in the world of Gaian.